So, while going over the responses I got to the MHWorld video, I noticed a reoccurring theme amongst the comments, that I did not address a main concern regarding MHWorld, and that concern is change. One of the main reasons, if not the main reason, for the reaction to MHWorld, as well as another contributing factor to the divide, was how different the game looked and felt. And you know, I was thinking all of this while making the last video, and definitely agreed with anyone who was bringing it up. I didn't mention this at all, or even talk about it. How the fuck did I miss this? Cyrus, I told you to proofread my stuff. What? Anyways, it's an important topic, so I'd like to talk about it now. However, I don't want to discuss change and how it's divided us anymore. I feel that I already spoke enough on the matter and said what I wanted to say. Instead, with this change can be something that can weave us back together. Whether you're excited about this game and you're getting it for sure, or you don't like it or you're on the fence about it, I think we can all relate in that seeing big change to a favorite game series can be kinda scary. An early complaint was that the game looked too Western, that it was westernized, that they westernized Monster Hunter. And I thought this was an interesting complaint because I have to assume that by westernized, you meant simplified and dumbed down. But the majority of people making this claim were part of the Western fanbase, so interesting choice of words. I think this back and forth stems from how minimalistic this first trailer was, at least in comparison to previous reveals. We were pretty much only shown the new mechanics, so I understand where people's concerns were coming from. We were going off very little information in the beginning. Luckily, the extended gameplay video with the commentary, as well as community members answering different questions, did help shed some light on the game to show that it wouldn't be as plain and simple as we thought, and aspects we did like would be returning. However, there is no denying that Monster Hunter is going to be headed in a new direction, which is not necessarily a bad thing. While it's easy to get accustomed to the style of your favorite game, we shouldn't look at every new innovation and just immediately deem it negative, at least not without trying it first. I'd like to draw connections to two games that faced a similar situation that Monster Hunter is facing. These games may be a little familiar: Final Fantasy XV and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. There are other games and series that have gone through similar treatment, but I'm gonna go with these because they're more recent and relevant, and I'm actually a fan of the series, so that's gonna help. This isn't an in-depth analysis of either games, so I'll try to make this brief. After having waited so long, traditional fans of Final Fantasy were a bit off-put by this 15th entry when it was announced. While the series had definitely explored many types of gameplay across all of its games, including the spin-offs, some of which I love very much, it's most famous for its classic turn-based style. Final Fantasy XV, however, was not going to be following this trend, and instead would be rocking an action RPG-like battle system. It would be working with a lot of open-world elements and a sense of realism that rubbed people the wrong way, feeling that it would be straying too far from the actual fantasy part of the game, like the addition of cars and stuff. Which is weird because this type of industrialization had been present in past games, but we'll keep going. Overall, people thought it wouldn't feel like a classic Final Fantasy title, and instead it was just one aimed at streamlining the game. Breath of the Wild had a similar reaction. Like Final Fantasy, the Legend of Zelda series has had different kinds of games, usually action-adventure, alongside some dungeon crawling and puzzle solving. However, when it was finally shown what this game would actually be like, a classic series would once again be adapting the open world concept, and people feared that it wouldn't work with Zelda. It would be kind of gimmicky, it would feel like a watered down Skyrim, and most of the reactions were pretty negative, people claiming it wouldn't be a real Legend of Zelda. Sound familiar? That, in tandem with all of the new ideas being introduced, traditional fans felt uncomfortable going into this new entry, and some believed that it would fall flat. The trend here is that longtime fans are understandably reluctant to big change at first. So, what was the general result of these two games?
Pretty good.
They were both fun and unique in their own right, and you're not going to please everybody, but they managed to find something that worked in these games, where they could keep the fun and classic elements that people loved, while also making pretty big changes to make the game feel new, without abandoning core aspects of the game. But aside from being fun, here's why I thought these two games were true successes in being new entries to old series. They caught the attention of and entertained current fans, they brought back older fans, and they brought in new fans. And this is one of the most important ones. I heard a lot of people saying that 15 was their first Final Fantasy, or Breath of the Wild was their first Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild took it a step further and got people who didn't even like Nintendo to buy a Switch just for this game. That's pretty fucking wild. So here are my final thoughts. I don't blame anybody for being reluctant to change in the gaming industry. Change isn't always good, and we've seen some examples of games drifting away from what they're really supposed to be about. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say that they tried Monster Hunter, but they put it down for this reason or that reason, or that they've heard about the game for a while, but just never picked it up. Monster Hunter World is a solution to that problem. You guys should definitely check out this article on The Verge about the game. It'll honestly make you feel a lot better about the team's motives behind Monster Hunter World. In it, Tsujimoto answers a lot of questions, but he confirms that the goal all along has been to make the game less intimidating and more appealing, but that also, he feels that this game could be the one. Listen, there's no hiding the fact that Monster Hunter World is definitely aimed at being more welcoming to the Western audience, but I don't think it's a cheap cop-out to try and make some easy sales. I get the impression that the team behind the game has been working really hard on this one, learning from past mistakes and really taking into account what the fanbase would really love and enjoy in a fully fleshed out Monster Hunter game. Their main task here is to just try and strike that balance between innovation and the classic. Anyways folks, I hope I gave you a better perspective into why they may be going the direction they are, and why it could be beneficial. And just like you guys, I'm really hoping they deliver. See you in the next video. Peace!